Yo, what's good? It's your boy Dot from Dot Me Now Coaching and Entertainment. For coaching, my links are down below. Spiritual readings down below. Patreon down below. The Patreon got this a day before y'all. So YouTube, you seeing this on Tuesday. Patreon saw this on Monday. And by the time y'all see episode 2 next week, I ain't gonna lie, Patreon would have already saw that too because I'm uploading these Gita episodes early on my Patreon. So like you'll get these like every week on YouTube, but Patreon may get like two of these Jones a week or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like that, you know. Same with the whole podcast series, right? But I already made two videos about the Gita. I'm gonna make a playlist on my YouTube, so go check that out if you want to see the old Gita videos. But even if you haven't, you can actually start at this video. The reason why is because when I was first reading that, I didn't even realize, bro. I was reading like so that chapter I was reading was a summary about what the Gita is about, right? And I get a basic message, right? So the way this book is written is that the first chapter, right, is essentially like setting the scene and telling you what the whole entire Gita is about, right? That's all the way until page 131, right? Now from there, on what this guy also does, right? Like he'll write down a certain sentence from the scripture and then tell you like what that sentence actually means type shit, right? So in different chapters, right, you have karma yoga, you have a chapter on transcendental knowledge, you have a chapter on dana yoga, you have a chapter on attaining the supreme, you have a chapter on the yoga of the supreme person. So pretty much inside all these chapters, right? Like inside the karma yoga one, right, which we're about to read right now, right, he'll give like a different verse and then talk about how this relates to karma yoga, right? So let's start at that because the way I'm gonna do these videos is that I'm gonna pretty much give you guys the different sentences. Like I'm not gonna go over the whole entire chapter because the chapter's pretty long, but I'm gonna give you guys a few sentences that talk about karma yoga, and this shit is lit. This is gonna be a really good series to add on to spirit yoga because I'm gonna do spirit yoga on my YouTube at some point. I'll probably do it on Patreon first, then drop it on YouTube after. But still, YouTube will get that, and you guys are gonna need this gated shit for yoga of wisdom, especially. But look, so the first sentence he talks about, right? Oh, and by the way, inside the Gita, right? Where we left off at was essentially like it was time for. So there's a war going on, right? And there's this one guy named Arjuna, right? And Arjuna, he's a worshiper of Krishna, right? And because of that, because he's a worshiper of Krishna, he does not want to fight in the war. But Krishna starts telling him, "Nigga, you're supposed to fight inside the war." You know what I'm saying? And Karma Yoga kind of deals with that because just watch the old videos to get more about it. But long story short, it's like, bro, if you have a purpose, you gotta serve that shit, bro. But we're gonna get into that. So the first sentence, right? It goes like this: Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work?" Now, one sentence I want to talk about, right, where the author explains this quote, he says down here this. He says, sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, aka non-action. And one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna consciousness by chanting the holy name of the Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, aka God consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness, or my fault. 'Cause you know how he said like, why do you want me to fight in this warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? So down here it says that Arjuna also thought that Krishna consciousness or intelligence and spiritual advancement of knowledge, he thought about that as something like a retirement from the active life and the practice of penance and austerity as a secluded place. You know what I'm saying? So essentially he thought that the whole spiritual intelligence shit was about being a secluded place, focusing on your discipline and all that other shit. But it's like, yeah, be disciplined, but still be active in the outside world. Then it says, in other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid fighting by using Krishna consciousness, aka God consciousness, and spiritual intelligence as an excuse. But that's not how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk more about that. You know what I'm saying? So right there, Right here, it also says, right? Arjuna says again, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which would be most beneficial for me. Now it says down here in the previous chapter, as a prelude to the Bhagavad Gita, many different paths were explained. There are several different yogas, such as controlling the senses by intelligence, work without fruitive desire, and all these other yogas. So he's saying like, bro, I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you want me to fight inside this war? But like, I thought I was on this spiritual intelligence shit. But there's many different yogas. You know what I'm saying? So right here we get into that. Krishna says, "Oh sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service, aka yoga of wisdom and yoga of devotion. Some people try to become like overly wise and philosophical and understand the universe intellectually, and then others try to devote themselves to God and then, become one with the universe like that. So people try to realize the self by devotion and by learning about it intellectually, right? And then Krishna says, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So he's saying by just because you abstain from doing shit does not mean that you're gonna obtain freedom from your low vibrational reactions. And just because you renounce the world and say that you reject the world does not mean that you're gonna attain perfection. You know what I'm saying? Now right here it says, without purification of heart, practicing these yogas are simply a disturbance of the social order, meaning that if you don't have purity in your heart when renouncing the world, then you not interacting with the world is just you being like a floater in the sense of like it's like instead of putting in work for your community, you have everybody else putting in work and you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay secluded from this shit. With purity in your heart, you understand that I can still do work inside the world. However, I don't need to do work for my selfish ego, like trying to fucking get a million just to get a million. You could get a million to help everybody else inside the world. Hey, get a million to get $1 million and build a whole new world. That's cool. But getting a million for some selfish shit, And then also a purity of heart, right? When people's hearts aren't pure, they're oftentimes like, "Oh my God, I don't want to do this because it's just not for me." Whole time you really being on some ego shit by saying that. Sometime, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you may be like, "Oh, I'm trying to avoid this person because they're just so negative." Whole time is really your projection onto them that makes them seem so negative. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it says on the other hand, right? If someone takes to transcendental service of the Lord even without discharging, aka even without, hold up, let me look up, cause I was about to, I don't want to say discharging the definition in the wrong ways. Let me give like the exact definition of discharging real quick. All right, cool. Yeah, I wasn't tripping. So when it says on the other hand, if someone takes to transcendental service of the Lord, even without letting go of his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance in the cause is accepted by the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So it's saying that if you try to pretty much take on the service of the higher power and you don't let go of your mundane activities, then even if you do little shit to serve the cause, God will recognize that. You know what I'm saying? And here's why that whole entire thing works. Like if you're doing genuine service, right? You know what I'm saying? While trying to unify to God, that's doing more work than saying, "Oh, f the world because everybody sucks." You know what I'm saying? Like you'll feel more connected with God by doing helpful things inside the world, opposed to not doing shit and just being a hater, hating on everybody inside your little cave. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Then it says, everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. And now what it's saying is that it's not a question of an embodied life or having a physical life, but it is literally in the nature of the soul to always be active, which is true. It's kind of like the sun, you know what I'm saying? So when you see the sun, right, does the sun ever stop shining? No. Like that shit is always giving off heat. So like your soul is always active. Like even when you're going to sleep, your soul is active. You know what I'm saying? Like your soul is always active. So niggas be like, oh, spirituality, I shouldn't be doing shit. Wrong. Now, granted, you should learn how to calm the mind down and stuff like that. But as you calm the mind, you'll get in tune with Source, and then Source will say, "Hey, do this active service inside the world because you have a higher perspective now that other people need." Type shit. Yes, Sham. Uh, so yeah. Then it says right here, one who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Then it says down here, there are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness but make a show of meditation while actually dwelling within the mind upon sense enjoyment. Such pretenders may also speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers, but according to this verse, these are the greatest cheaters. For sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of the social order, but if one follows the rules and regulations of his particular status, he can make gradual progress in purifying his existence. But he who makes a show of being a yogi while actually searching for objects of sense gratification must be called the greatest cheater, even though he sometimes speaks of philosophy. His knowledge has no value because the effects of such a sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. Such a pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. So what it's saying is, one who tries to act like a yogi, you doing all this meditation and shit, but you still holding on to these sense enjoyments. Nigga, you meditating on your greatest desires type shit. And then you come out of meditation and you only act the spiritual to try to get some money or try to get some women or some men or some shit like that. Niggas manifesting only to get girls. Girls manifesting only to get niggas. Niggas meditating only to get money. Girls meditating only to get money. That's like if I was doing all that I did just for money and I wasn't really helping y'all. You know what I'm saying? That'd be like if y'all came for spirit guide reading and I told y'all some shit and everything I said was off. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, nigga. Like, I really do this shit. Like you see how I got this shit on? This shit ain't for no design. Granted, I do like how it looks. This shit fire. But nigga, the reason why Indians put that dot on their forehead is to have a constant awareness of that part of their brain to activate the pineal gland. Because you're constantly aware of that part of your brain that activates it more. Because you're focused more on it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, right, it's like working out a fucking muscle type shit. That's why I'm doing this shit. And the color is red for the ruby ray of light. Nigga, this is some real spiritual shit. This shit ain't for no shits and giggles. However, there's literal Indians who only do this shit because it's just part of their culture, but they don't understand the true meaning, which is cool. That's fine. And I'm not saying you can't do that shit for design. You could do that shit on some cute shit. But I'm just saying that a nigga like me who's spitting about this shit, nigga, I real life meditate trying to understand this shit. Nigga, fuck them. Nigga, oh my God. Nigga, when I stopped working a job to start this shit, nigga, I wasn't making no bread like that. This shit could have seemed crazy to some niggas. Now I'm chilling because I really put in that work and I really got spiritual abilities and I really help motherfuckers and I really know what the fuck I'm talking about. But nigga, like imagine if I was just like, there's so many people who act spiritual just while it's a trend and then they get off this shit. That's what that's fucking talking about, my nigga. So it's saying that, nigga, just because some niggas is on some meditation shit, don't mean they actually on some real shit. Some of them still want to dibble and dabble into the fucking sensory enjoyments, and that's what it's really all about. Their shit is fruitless, my nigga. So with that being said, right, it says, on the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga with Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. Then it says a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than whatever that word says, is far better than the meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. So some niggas, which is, if you're inside the fucking street and you're sweeping the streets trying to be in service of God, you're like, hey, nigga, Source made this reality, nigga. We live on the earth. We gotta take care of Earth. Let me sweep up off this. Let me sweep up. Let me sweep up all this bullshit, nigga. That's way better than meditating just to try to get some monies. You know what I'm saying? You can meditate to motherfucking, like realize source, and then because you realize source, you do shit which helps you make the money. But your only intent should not be to get the monies. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's talking about. Yes, yes, yes. And by the way, karma yoga is yoga of action. It's when you actually do stuff in the world to benefit other people, and it's like you're coming from the place of source. So when you even go into your job, right? Even though it's like, nigga, fuck this company, they on some bullshit, your company could still sometimes help other people. So when you recognize that shit, you're like, okay, what I'm doing is the work of God because what I'm doing eventually helps somebody else in the long run type shit. Even if you're just going to work and talking to people type shit, that's karma yoga, you know what I'm saying? So that's what it's talking about with karma yoga, right? Now it says, perform your prescribed duty. My fault, they should put a semicolon here, but they didn't. Perform your described duty. For doing so is better than not working. Maybe it didn't need a semicolon. I don't know. They put a comma. A comma is good enough. But yeah, it says, perform your prescribed duty. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one physical body without working. That's fact, my nigga. That's a fact. Nigga, if you're completely inactive, bro, you're not gonna be the healthiest person, my guy, and that's just facts. Like, you gotta work out, you gotta get active to keep your body healthy. So it's like that whole entire shit of thinking like, oh, nigga, we not supposed to be doing no work, my nigga. We should just be meditating, nigga. That's wrong. Like, yeah, you should rest sometimes when your body's tired, but it's not resting 24/7 in the name of the Lord. Like, no, nigga, that's not what this shit's about. So I'm gonna end it there. Now we still gonna talk about karma yoga. This was like an introduction, but like the next couple of quotes, I'm fucking with these shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of tells you more about how to actually practice it and it better. You know what I'm saying? Bro, this shit gonna be fire, bro. So that's the first episode. This is the first official episode of the Bhagavad Gita shit. The other shit, yeah, I did that other Bhagavad Gita shit, but nigga, this the real official first episode. So I hope y'all enjoyed this shit. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna catch y'all my next video. I love y'all. Peace.